Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have a great and wonderful day. And it seems today, this great adventure, our great part of Germany, and it seems like every time I go and mention Germany or bring up Germany in any regards into my videos, that they catch my wind, is that it's them always doing some type of very messed up stuff. Now, I guess people could just say it's like, well, if you're going on constantly like Germany and stuff like that, well, it's like you're always just you do the news, so you report back most of the bad stuff. Yeah, and I can attest to that. I can agree to that being part of the case. But why does it always have something to do with like pedophilia? Why is it always have to do with kids? I mean, we had that one report where they were talking about Germany stuff, where doing the whole kid thing, and now we have this where we have where a pro child grabber activist group celebrates as Germany decriminalizes child fun time possession. Germany's parliament has received the votes necessary to remove a section of the criminal code which made the possession of child fun time abuse, which is not a normal good term I should probably be using, but you get the drift. Materials for materials a felony crime. Once the bill passed last Thursday comes into effect, minimum sentence for the possession of child fun time will be reduced, and the offense will be downgraded to a misdemeanor. According to the Bundestag, the bill stipulates the possession and acquisition should be punishable with a minimum penalty of 3 months imprisonment and distribution with a minimum penalty of 6 months imprisonment and distribution with a minimum penalty of 6 months imprisonment. The offenses regulated in Section 184B of the Criminal Code are therefore classified as misdemeanors and not as crimes. The possession of child fun-time abuse materials was first classified as a crime in 2021 after Federal Justice Minister Christine Lambrecht of the Social Democratic Party introduced a minimum sentence of 1 year for the offense. The move classified the act as a felony, which it remained for 3 years until this most recent downgrade. Responding to the passage of the bill, Chairman of the Association German Children's Aid, the Permanent Children's Representation, Rainer Baker pointed out that Germany could violate a directive from the European Union that classifies any child fun-time media as a serious criminal offense with a change to the law. A statement of opposition was released by the Christian Democratic Union, a Christian Social Media Union of Bavaria. The distribution, possession, and acquisition of child fun time must, in principle, remain classified as crimes, reads the declaration. Even if the increase in the penalty range in Section 184B of the Criminal Code in 2020 has led to practical problems in certain cases, a blanket reduction in the penalty range is the wrong solution. A change should be limited to the problem cases and solve them effectively. Scientific findings show that if the penalty framework shifts downwards, the penalties imposed in practice also tend to be lower. The rationale behind the downgrading of the crime to a misdemeanor included consideration for parents and teachers of children who download the content in order to inform law enforcement. Such cases have occurred particularly frequently among parents and teachers of older children or young people who found child fun time on them and pass it on to other parents. Teachers or the school management to inform them of the problem. Reads Article 1 of the bill. The legislation continues. A downgrade to a misdemeanor is also urgently required in order to be able to respond appropriately and with the necessary flexibility to the large proportion of juvenile offenders. Here, too, the perpetrators generally do not act in order to be horribly aroused by the child fun time content, but rather out of a drive typical of the adolescent stage of development, such as naivety, curiosity, thirst for adventure, or the desire to impress. However, despite acknowledging such circumstances, the bill has not made certain exceptions, but rather downgrades possession of child fun time altogether, a fact that has not gone unnoticed by pro-evil campaigners, child grabber campaigners. The move has already been praised by a notorious German pro-child grabber activist group known as Crime 13 or simply K13. The activist group has been described as a self-help organization to child grabbers. In a blog post written by its founder and dated May 17th, K13 laments that no politician in all factions apologize to the thousands upon thousands of those affected who fell victim to the 2021 law, which had made possession of child fun time abuse materials a felony. K13 further advised all visitors to their site to have have any relevant defense lawyers submit applications for stays of proceeding on behalf of their clients in ongoing proceedings, in order to wait out the period of time until the law goes into effect. The notorious group was founded by the dater Gisking, who has been repeatedly charged with the possession of child fun time. In 1986, Gisking was sentenced to 18 months, for which he served 1 year in prison, on charges related to operating a mail order child fun time service from a van. In 2003, Gisking again appeared in court accused of possession of child horrible abusive materials obtained between July 1999 and January 2001. The terrible was found on Gisking's computer after research of his residence until August 2001. His devices contained a total of 216 image files of naked children, and he was sentenced to 8 months in prison. At the time, Gisking was also accused of leaking to child funtime page on his website. This link was discovered by German word.net, and an organization set up by the federal government to protect minors online. In a 2014 interview with the Taz Online, Gisking called for lowering the age of consent to 8 to 12 years of age, and said that the adult uncomfortable interactions with toddlers would have to be discussed separately. The taboo of child grabbers must finally be broken at all levels of society. If a child grabber can come out without a fear of exclusion or even demonization, then this is the best prevention against child abuse, Gisking told the outlet. For babies and toddlers and elementary school students, the sexual component in such a relationship is problematic. This will have to be discussed separately. From a sexual policies perspective, and an age of consent of 12 is appropriate and long overdue in today's enlightened society. There are boys and girls who take the initiative in a friendly and terrible relationship with a child grabber. Therefore, there is a need for sexual criminal law reform that does justice to everyone involved. Through K13, Gisking and his supporters lobby for lowering the age of consent and legalizing child fun time. K13 also campaigns for decriminalizing sexual relations between adults and children. Legalizing clearly self-determined sexuality between older people and those under 14 is the best protection against actual violence against children. Gisking wrote in another protection to the government while calling for the abolition of Section 176, abuse of children, and 188, dissemination, of child fun time content of the legal code. Gisking has been lobbying the government for changes to legislation for several years. Last fall, the Bundestag accepted a petition on children's rights, authored by Gisking, which amends Article 6 of the Basic Law to add statements regarding children's rights, and states that children should be viewed as legal subjects with their own rights. So, yeah, that's what's going on here. So Germany is pretty much allowing all this stuff to go through. And I think it won't be very much longer until they start allowing fun time with the kids. Just to let you guys know, the word fun time is be related to the pedophile. So the only reason why I'm trying to censor it is because YouTube doesn't like this type of stuff. So I'm trying to keep my channel afloat and still get something from this, so they don't censor everything. So there's that. And it's really disturbing. I don't know how we're going into the society here to where we think that this type of thing should ever remotely be bloody allowed. There's a difference between, some people are going to start saying, art and, non-art, right? And stuff like that. And there is a difference between art, writing, and stuff like that to whatever the hell this is, right? Like child fun time stuff, images, and what have you. This is not good behavior. We just don't allow kids to just be possessed in this type of way. These are very sick individuals, and I think I think the bigger problem here is that this may actually lead into something else entirely. That would pretty much okay, if they have this, it will lead to something worse. And again, there's also criticism to what the Japanese do with their type of own weird lolly content, which again, I have very weird opinions on that, and that's mostly just due to the fact that that is more art. But when you start getting into the actual crazy sexual nature of that type of stuff, that's really disturbing to me, and I don't know if that should really be allowed. Again, it's also a great area when you're talking about like when they're doing an anime type stuff, but there's only like certain scenes which I can understand that like it's not indicating of that. But again, it's like it's a gray area, right? And we have to be able to tell the difference between art and not art. And this is definitely not art. And it seems that Germany is allowing children to be well, I guess just exposed in this type of way. Let's put it that way. And I think Germany has been making horrible mistakes for the past century, and I don't think their ideas have been the greatest. Perhaps they should be put under some strict rules because, yeah, they're not really a great country anymore. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Like, guys, share. As always, take care, my friends.
I'm disgusted about what I see in public. Even people closest to us can't be trusted. This is algorithmic disease, the social media.